My name is London Rain. Thank you for joining me in my studio today for Between Layers 05. We're going to do two things today. First, a walkthrough of my free tape Moog sample pack that just dropped, which includes over 70 files that I made as a thank you for 100 subscribers. After that, I am going to give you an insight on how I actually ran all the sounds that I recorded with the Moog through my tape machine. So if you're thinking about buying a cheap cassette deck or even a tape machine, but don't know how to set it up with your DAW or your interface, I'm going to show you how to do that today. So let's start with the sample pack. The first link in the description will take you to a public post on my Patreon. You don't have to subscribe, you don't have to pay or anything. So just click the link and download the pack. Once you did that, this is what you're going to see. So let's go ahead and open it up. What you'll see is these 4 folders. So the pack basically consists of 18 sounds processed in 4 different ways. First, we have the dry, which is just straight out of the Moog. Dry tape has the raw Moog sounds but run through a tape machine, some more saturated than others. In the wet folder, you get the raw Moog sounds combined with some vintage quadraverb, reverb or delay. I use a different setting on the reverb for every sound, so there's a lot to explore here. And the wet tape are the wet signals run through a tape machine again for some texture and some saturation. I didn't EQ any of the sounds, so wherever you're using them, you have the whole frequency palette to work with. Let's dive into one of the folders real quick before listening to some of the sounds. At the beginning of every file name, you'll see what kind of sound you're working with. We got some basic and some weird 808s, some plugs, 3 sub basses and 2 textures. You'll also see the number 2 at the end of some files, which is just the original sound played an octave higher on the Moog. Depending on how you want to use the sound, you can just choose whatever octave fits best, so your DAW doesn't have to do too much digital processing, which keeps the sounds as clean as possible. Enough talking, let's go ahead and listen to some of the sounds. I'm also going to compare the different processing chains so you can actually hear that there's a lot of variety in there. If you like what you heard, again, you can just click the first link in the description and download the pack for free. Also, make sure to send me some stuff if you ever use the pack. I'm very interested to see how and where you're using it. Now to the second part, how do you actually set up your DAW and your interface with your tape deck or your tape machine? It's actually not that hard, so I'll try to keep this short and simple. The first thing you'll need is a tape deck with 3 heads. If it only has 2, you will not be able to listen to what's being recorded while it's being recorded. So make sure your unit has 3 heads and an option to switch between source and tape monitoring. Moving on to the interface, which is pretty self-explanatory. You just need to connect 2 line outputs of your interface to the line inputs of the tape deck, and from the tape deck back to the interface. Very important information before you do this, you need to turn off direct monitoring for your interface or else you'll get a feedback. Most interfaces come with an app for your PC, so that's probably where you'll have to change that setting. Now in your DAW, just set any track's output to the ones going to the tape machine. Create another audio track and set the input to the ones coming from the tape. Now, if you hit record on your tape deck, you can monitor what's being recorded on that input track while playing the audio from the output track. If you like what you're hearing on the tape, you can just hit record on your input and let it run. I really hope you have some fun with the pack. It's the first of many more to come. You can let me know in the comments below what else you would be interested in. Again, go get that on my Patreon and also consider subscribing to me over there if you're interested in getting all the beats, all the samples and all the stems from every video. You can also support me right here by liking or subscribing, and as always, I really appreciate you taking your time watching this, and I'll see you next Sunday. Love.